They're sitting across from you right now. At the dinner table. In the office. Maybe in your bed. Smiling. Laughing. Saying all the right things. And you have no idea. No idea that behind those eyes is something fundamentally different. Something that doesn't work the way you work. Something that sees you not as a person, but as a resource to be extracted. A tool to be used. An obstacle to be removed. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition. And once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. This video will ruin your ability to trust blindly. But it might save your life. Florence, 1513. Niccolò Machiavelli sits in exile, banned from the city he served, writing furiously by candlelight. The Renaissance swirls around him, art and beauty and culture, but Machiavelli sees beneath the surface. He sees the knives behind the smiles. The poison in the wine. The betrayal dressed as friendship. He writes it all down in a book that will make his name synonymous with evil for 500 years. The Prince. But here's what most people miss. Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil. He was revealing it. Documenting what already existed in human nature. The predators he described weren't his invention. They were his observation. Men are so simple, and so subject to present necessities, that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. That's the quote that matters. Not the famous bits about being feared versus loved. This one. The one that says deception works because we want to believe. Because we're vulnerable. Because we need things. And there are people who know this. Who study this. Who weaponize it. Modern psychology finally caught up to Machiavelli. Clinical terms now. Narcissistic personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder. Machiavellianism itself, named after the men who described it. Together they form what researchers call the dark triad. Personality traits that cluster together in people who manipulate, exploit, and destroy without remorse. The statistics are worse than you think. Roughly 1% of the population are psychopaths. 6% have narcissistic personality disorder. Higher rates in corporate leadership, politics, entertainment. The places where power concentrates. Because these types don't just stumble into power. They seek it. They're drawn to it like sharks to blood. Here's the part that should terrify you. The average person will encounter 7 to 15 people with dark triad traits in their lifetime. Not rarely. Not if you're unlucky. On average. Most commonly in the workplace. In romantic relationships. In family systems. They're not aberrations. They're not monsters hiding in caves. They're woven into the fabric of daily life. Hidden in plain sight. How do you know if you're dealing with one? The signs are subtle at first, then overwhelming. Constant drama that somehow always involves you. Feeling drained after every interaction, like something vital has been siphoned out. Questioning your own sanity, your memory, your perception of reality. Finding yourself isolated from other relationships without quite knowing how it happened. Walking on eggshells, managing someone else's emotions constantly, contorting yourself to avoid explosions. If you recognize yourself in these descriptions, you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're targeted. And you need to know what you're dealing with. There are 3 types. 3 distinct patterns of predation. Each one deadly in its own way. Each one hiding behind a mask so convincing that you'll defend them even as they destroy you. Here's how to recognize them before it's too late. Type 1. The Benevolent Saboteur. Picture someone well-dressed, warm smile, helpful demeanor. Always offering assistance you didn't ask for. Positioning themselves as mentor, savior, protector. Publicly championing you. Using phrases like "I'm just worried about you," "I'm only trying to help," "I care about you so much." Machiavelli described them perfectly. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. The wolf in shepherd's clothing. Modern psychology calls it covert narcissism. Altruistic manipulation. The person who hurts you while claiming to help. The method is elegant and devastating. Phase 1, the rescue. They identify your vulnerability, insecurity, loneliness, ambition. Whatever gap exists in your armor, they find it. Then they offer exactly what you need. Create artificial dependence. You start a new job, the workload is overwhelming, and they swoop in to help. Take things off your plate. Show you the ropes. You're grateful. You trust them. You're being set up. Phase 2, the undermining. Subtle sabotage disguised as assistance. They fix your work, but introduce errors. Give advice that leads to failure. Share your confidences with others out of concern for you. Create problems, then solve them, building trauma bonds. You start feeling incompetent. They feel indispensable. The psychological trap closes. Phase 3, the takeover. You're now dependent, doubting yourself, unable to function without their help. They control the narrative, the resources, the relationships. Any resistance is framed as ingratitude. You're isolated, weakened, controlled. Mission accomplished. The warning signs are there if you know where to look. Help that always comes with strings attached. Backhanded compliments. You did great for someone with your limitations. Triangulation, telling you what others supposedly said about you. Boundary violations disguised as care. Gatekeeping, controlling your access to people, information, opportunities. Watch their face when you succeed independently. The smile doesn't reach the eyes. Notice the concerned questions that plant doubt. Are you sure you can handle that? The body language tells the truth. Duping delight, that micro-expression of pleasure when you fail. Forced empathy that feels rehearsed. Possessive gestures. Hand on your shoulder. Blocking your exit. Eye contact patterns. Intense staring for dominance or avoidance when lying. Real-world example. Sarah, 28, gets help from senior colleague Mark. He offers to mentor her. Introduces small errors into her presentations. Her reputation suffers. Mark steps in to save the projects. 1 year later, Sarah is on probation. Mark is promoted to the role that should have been hers. She realizes too late that every helpful act was strategic sabotage. Machiavelli warned about this. Never was anything great achieved without danger. The danger of refusing help is less than accepting poisoned assistance. The trap is perfect. You can't call them out without looking paranoid or ungrateful. They've positioned themselves as your ally. Exposing them exposes you. Type 2. The Entropy Engine. Visualize someone charismatic, exciting, unpredictable. Life of the party. Constantly in crisis, though never their fault. Emotional intensity that you mistake for passion. They create addictive drama cycles. Machiavelli saw them too. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. They're willing to destroy everything, including themselves, to maintain control. Psychology calls it borderline features combined with Machiavellianism. Emotional vampirism. Chaos as a control mechanism. The chaos creation cycle is textbook. Phase 1, love bombing. Intense connection. Immediate intimacy. You're their soulmate. They've never felt this way before. Constant contact. Grand gestures. You feel special, chosen, alive. You're being primed for extraction. Phase 2, manufactured crisis. Suddenly there's a problem. Ex-drama. Job loss. Health scare. Family emergency. You rush to help. You're the hero. Crisis resolves temporarily. Next week, new emergency. The pattern is relentless. Phase 3, emotional whiplash. Hot and cold cycles. Intense connection, sudden withdrawal, desperate reconciliation. You become addicted to the highs, terrified of the lows. Your nervous system is hijacked. You're no longer operating rationally. You're operating from trauma response. Phase 4, triangulation. Jealousy games. Mentioning exes. Flirting with others in front of you. Competing for their attention becomes your obsession. Friends and family are framed as against the relationship. You're isolated in the drama bubble with them. Just the two of you against the world. Exactly where they want you. Phase 5, total depletion. Your resources, drained. Your energy, exhausted. Your identity, eroded. Their need for chaos, never satisfied. You're empty. They move on to the next source. The red flags scream if you're listening. Every ex is crazy. You'll be the next crazy ex, by the way. Trauma dumping on first dates. Push-pull dynamics. I love you, I need space, I love you, I need space, on endless repeat. Your emotions are constantly managed and manipulated. Problems that somehow always require your sacrifice. Threats during disagreements. Suicide threats. Self-harm. Leaving. You become their emotional hostage. The addiction mechanism is neurological. Intermittent reinforcement, like a slot machine. You never know when the next reward is coming, so you keep pulling the lever. Trauma bonding. Pain plus relief equals attachment. Cognitive dissonance. They love me versus they hurt me, and your brain tries to resolve the contradiction by blaming yourself. Sunk cost fallacy. I've invested so much, I can't leave now. Real example. James meets Alex. Whirlwind romance. Month 1, soulmate energy. Perfect connection. Month 2, Alex's ex is stalking them. James provides support and housing. Month 6, James has drained his savings, lost his friends, fights constantly. Month 12, James has developed an anxiety disorder. Alex has moved on to the next victim. The pattern becomes visible only in retrospect. Alex leaves a trail of depleted former partners. Each one thought they were special. Each one was just fuel. Machiavelli understood. These types don't want stability. They feed on chaos. Your peace is their boredom. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. If you're surrounded by chaos, you've chosen the Entropy Engine. You're not a victim of circumstance. You're a supply source. Type 3. The mirror. The shapeshifter. The empty vessel that reflects whatever you need to see. They become whoever you need them to be. Perfect compatibility that's too perfect. Uncanny similarity in values, interests, dreams. The soulmate who's actually a shell. Machiavelli warned about this too. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. You see what you want to see. They feel nothing. Modern psychology calls it psychopathy with social mimicry. Lack of authentic self. Manufactured personality for strategic advantage. They don't have an identity. They have a strategy. The mirroring process is chilling in its precision. Phase 1, the study. They watch you intensely. Ask probing questions disguised as deep interest. Catalog your values, fears, desires, triggers, insecurities. Deep dive your social media. Talk to your friends and family to gather intelligence. You think they're fascinated by you. They're building a profile. Phase 2, the reflection. They become your ideal. You love hiking. They suddenly love hiking too. You value honesty. They're brutally honest. You want family. They want the exact same future. Shared synchronicities that feel like fate. Finishing your sentences. Reading your mind. The perfect fit. Because they built themselves to fit you. Like a key carved to match your lock. Phase 3, the fusion. Rapid escalation. Moving in. Financial entanglement. Marriage. Pregnancy. Your identity begins merging with theirs. Shared accounts. Shared friends. Shared life. The point of no return is established. You're locked in. Phase 4, the reveal. The mask cracks. Sudden personality shifts. Interests disappear overnight. Values reverse. The person you fell in love with never existed. I never actually liked that thing we bonded over. You realize you're living with a stranger wearing your soulmate's face. The psychological horror is profound. Phase 5, the discard. Once they've extracted what they needed, money, status, children, legitimacy, you're discarded with shocking coldness. They mirror someone new. You're left questioning reality itself. Wondering if anything was real. It wasn't. Warning signs. Too perfect. Zero conflict incompatibility. Real relationships have friction. Shallow backstory. Vague about the past. Few long-term friends. Chameleon effect. Personality shifts depending on audience. No core identity. Can't answer who are you without referencing others. Excessive flattery. Love bombing through mirroring. Rush to commitment. Pressure to lock down the relationship fast before you can think. Emotional flatness. When the mask slips, there's nothing beneath. The uncanny valley feeling. Something feels off that you can't name. Trust that feeling. Real example. Elena meets David. He's everything she ever wanted. Shares her obscure interests. Same childhood experiences. Same future goals. Married within 8 months. Year 2, David reveals he never wanted kids. They have one. Year 3, David admits he hates her family. They moved near them for him. Year 4, Elena discovers David used this exact pattern with his previous wife. The mirror shattered. Nothing was real. Machiavelli's wisdom cuts deep. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps. Learn to see the trap of perfect reflection. So how do you defend yourself? Detection strategies first. The time test. True character reveals under pressure and time. Observe across contexts. Work, stress, interactions with others, when they don't need something from you. Consistency check. Do their values match their actions over months, not days? The boundary test. Set a small boundary. Observe the reaction. Healthy person respects it. Toxic type violates it, guilts you, punishes you. The information diet. Don't reveal vulnerabilities early. Watch what they do with small confidences. Do they weaponize information later? The third-party check. How do they treat waiters, subordinates, exes, family? Pattern of burned bridges equals warning. All exes are crazy equals you'll be next. Trust your visceral response. That gut feeling of unease is primitive threat detection. Your body knows before your mind does. If something feels off, it probably is. Protection protocols. Gray rock method for unavoidable toxic people. Co-parent. Co-worker. Be boring. Neutral responses. No emotional reaction. Give them nothing to feed on. Strategic severance when possible. Complete no contact. Block all channels. No closure conversation. They'll manipulate it. Clean break. Document everything for legal protection. Save texts, emails, recordings where legal. Build support network. Counter isolation tactics. Reality check with trusted friends. Professional help. Financial firewall. Separate accounts immediately. Critical warning. Don't become what you fight. Studying manipulation doesn't make you a manipulator. Use knowledge for defense, not offense. Healthy boundaries equal protecting yourself. Manipulation equals exploiting others. Know the line. Best revenge is living well without them. Their power vanishes when you stop caring. Machiavelli didn't create these types. He simply named what was already hunting in the shadows. Now you can see them too. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The fool learns after destruction. The wise learn from observation. You've been warned. Now run.